if you were on the other side of the fence, and if you were a founder, if you were the CEO of a startup then, and you were thinking about sort of using growth as a play, it could be a person, a team, or whatever it might be. And I'm sure you've seen it done well, and I'm sure you've seen it done not so well. But what would you be doing to sort of put those foundations in place then before you kind of used growth as a tactic then?
I think culturally is the biggest thing. To make sure culturally you're ready to have a team that's one, working cross-functionally, right? They're going to work differently than other teams. And so that's like its own thing, is how do you operationalize it? So I think you have to have some cross-functional roots in place from a cultural standpoint. And then I also think you need to have a culture of questioning things and accept that and make experimentation and, sort of that type of decision-making part of your operating system early. Because I think if it's a company that leads based on, hey, we're going to do it this way, and we have a vision, and we're deadlocked on this vision, and we're not deviating course, any deviation is a distraction or a negative thing, it's going to be pretty tough to insert this team that is all of a sudden trying to shake things up a little bit and break through plateaus and maybe use data in different ways. So I think the cultural foundations are the most important part. And I think that this model, where this team is most effective when there's a little bit of volume. So I think after product market fit is a good time. I think pre-product market fit, really you should hire a marketer or maybe a growth marketer, someone to figure out how do you eventually get product market fit. And I think once you really have it, you've got some scale, you've got some volume, you've got some confidence who your best users are and your best customers and how they're using your product, then all of a sudden a growth team becomes really valuable because they can come in and they can use that data to try to accelerate things.
Great stuff. And you talk about sort of hiring your first growth marketer then, obviously post sort of product market fit, and you're talking about volume then. I mean, are there any sort of points within that then that you think is actually the ideal time, or is it kind of just post that product market fit and you're sort of seeing stuff sort of flowing in a bit more frequently?
Yeah, I think it's post product market fit. I know that that's like a fuzzy definition, and most companies are trying to figure out, do they have it? Do they not have it? Typically, if you're trying to figure out if you still have it, you probably don't. And if you feel like you've got product market fit and you're really ready to scale, obviously there's some good signs that you do. What I typically look for me, because I do some coaching and advising. And so for me, I typically look for some kind of benchmark in terms of revenue. It's a proxy to understand product market fit, but typically you can't get to a certain amount of revenue being a business that sells software in the SMB space. Until you get around 5, 6, 8 million in annual recurring revenue. That's usually like a decent proxy to understand, are we on the right path? Obviously, there's some earlier stage companies that aren't quite at that revenue, but might be growing really, really quickly. Like their rate of growth month over month might be in a really impressive place. So those are a couple good indicators to understand if you're on the right path.